right. We're going to be going live in 3, 2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Clone Wars Season 7 review. I am the bounty hunter, Travis Snail.
I am the crime syndicate Taylor Field.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't guessed, we're reviewing every single episode of Season 7 of Clone Wars, as that's the title of this show. Today we are talking about Episode 7, Dangerous Debt. Before we get in that, just because we did news a few weeks ago, I want to pick your brain a little bit, Taylor, about that. Kind of the rumors we heard from C+ people that Ahsoka may be getting a solo spin-off show out of Mandalorian, a live action one. What do you think about that? I know we kind of talked about that being a possibility, but do you think give me a percentage of what you think the likelihood of it happening is?
Oh, I think I think the likelihood is pretty high. You know, like the success of the Mandalorian goes to show like that Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, they got good things happening, and you know, Ahsoka is like Dave Filoni's like pet project. You know, he's always been like pushing for her to pop off, and even then, like just to make that character even have a little bit of a line in Rise of Skywalker. You know, I think it just goes to show that this is a character that has really turned around. A lot of people really do love Ahsoka, and I think it's just a matter of time before she was going to make it into, you know, live action in some shape or form. And I think they're going to probably, whether or not they've actually started like production with her casting or her and her show, I guess remains to be seen. I don't know, but I mean, I was going to say like maybe they're just going to test the waters and see how excited and how interested people are. Like the episodes that have Ahsoka, is there going to be like a huge increase of viewership on Disney Plus, or like how it's going to play off? And then I think that'll be the final say, and they'll be like, okay, we're going for it. So
Yeah, I agree with you, because all the reports have been that it's like an early pre-production stuff like that. So I think it is likely, because I think people like the character. I would personally want to see it because I'd love to see a TV. I didn't think we'd honestly get a TV show for quite a while focusing on a Force user. You know, like I know we got Baby Yoda, so that was a bit different because he is a Force user, but he's not the main character, right? He's just on the side. But even then, I was surprised we got something that early into these Disney Plus shows to deal with that. So I think the likelihood, it's like, I don't know. If all this is true about Rosario Dawson being cast, and then obviously we didn't talk about last week in news, we completely forgot. Remember, there's that art going around of her and Commander, is it Cody or Rex?
no, it's definitely Captain Rex, definitely not Cody. Cody betrayed Obi-Wan.
Oh, right, yeah. I don't know these fucking droids. They all look the same to me, all these helmets. Like, no, that's so funny. I feel like in the shows, they're all wearing, like, different modified outfits, this and that. But then when you jump to Revenge of the Sith, they're all wearing the exact same things again.
Yeah, pretty much.
It doesn't make much sense. But, yeah, I think it's likely. If I had to go likelihood, I'd probably be high. I'd probably like 75%. I don't think there's anything as far as performance-wise I'm worried about. Rosario, I think she'd come out and kill it and be a big hit. I just think, I wonder if she's getting her own show, because we talked about potentially Baby Yoda going with her. Would Baby Yoda go with her, or do you think, because some people speculate that it'd be about her trying to find Ezra and whatnot? Plus, I'd have to ask you, if she's trying to find Ezra, does that mean we're getting a little bit closer to a Thrawn live-action debut?
You're just throwing that in there just to get a rise out of me. You know, like as much as I would love to see Thrawn, I feel like that's still a bit of a stretch and a ways off. I feel like Thrawn will return, and unless they're looking at turning these shows like Clone Wars and Rebels into live action adaptations, or not adaptations, but like live action sequels that continue the stories and drift away altogether from the cartoon animated adventures. Maybe if they just choose to just stick with, well, Resistance is canceled or no more, so I guess they would do that. But maybe they would put out like another animated series, but just transition these old characters to a live action version, I guess, maybe. But I feel like we're a ways off from getting Thrawn, and I don't think that they'll answer Thrawn and Ahsoka, or Thrawn and Ezra's storyline in Ahsoka's show, because whatever happens, it happened before. Because when you look at the end of Rebels, that's when Ahsoka, which is literally right at the end of the war, after Return of the Jedi, that's when Ahsoka goes off, and Mandalorian is 5 years later.
Yeah.
So this would be a new story, a new adventure focusing on what Ahsoka's up to, which I'd really, really like to see, because like at the end of Rebels, she's looking like she's like the ultimate like she's achieved like serenity and synchronicity, like how like her armor, her like staff, her clothes, like she looks like she's on a next tier of like Jedi. So she's definitely going through like some crazy like experiences.
Yeah, I didn't think about that too either. Of you saying the 5 years after Rebels, so it's probably lots has changed. Or sorry, Mandalorian's 5 years after Rebels, so probably a lot has changed for Ahsoka and her story. Plus, I think you made a good point with you don't want it to be too much of a sequel to an animated series because that's just too much catch up for people to do. So if because the only reason I brought Thrawn is one, obviously I know you're a big fan, so you got your Thrawn on over there, but like when because Filoni brought him back, right? He brought him back for Rebels, and I feel like Favreau is a massive canon fan. He's talked about even loving like the Christmas special and all this stuff, right? So in your mind, when do you? I feel like if Ahsoka does make her live action debut, which it sounds like it, I feel like we are. Like, before I ask this question, other than Ahsoka, who is the next most popular non-film character in your opinion? Because I feel like Thrawn, I know I'd have to think about it hard. I don't know if I'm gonna say he's after Ahsoka, but I think he's definitely in the top five, maybe top three. But I'm not talking animated like a or I'm not talking just anime. I'm talking anybody, books, whatnot. Like who is a non-saga character that's the most popular after Ahsoka?
Um, Honestly, I'd have to say it would probably be
Oh,
Captain Rex.
oh,
Like
I
I
got
feel
one.
like him as a clone would be. Oh, what's yours?
Probably Revan.
Revan. Oh, yeah, it's possible, but
Yeah.
it's hard to say because he was kind of like bumped down off of the list when they cut him from that one Clone Wars episode. So I feel like they might go for someone who's already established, right?
Yeah, see, I'm not saying who I think is the most likely. I just think who is the most popular, and I think after Ahsoka, it's Revan. I think Revan's pretty unlikely right now, just because I feel like that is a whole different situation with Old Republic and whatnot. But I just kind of think that if we're just talking about like, you think Rex is more popular with canon fans than Revan?
Well, I think like if you throw Ahsoka into it and bring her back, then I feel like you have to bring Rex as a like attachment to that, and I think like I guess I'm looking at more like from just like the animated aspect because like in canon, I think a lot of people want Revan, but I think it's more attached to like the Old Republic. I mean, in the storylines of like right now, because if are you thinking of like who would they bring back like after like the Mandalorian or in that time period
No,
or just in
I'm just thinking
general?
anybody. Like, let's say they're looking at a spreadsheet, right? And they're looking like, okay, we brought. Let's say they're just looking at purely business wise, and they're using these Disney Plus shows, like you kind of said. Hey, Ahsoka's really popular. Put her Mandalorian, and let's say it really works. They create a show and it works. Maybe Kathleen Crane and the crew are kind of like, oh wow, canon characters are popular. So I'm not saying it has to be Clone Wars anime. I'm just saying if they're looking at a spreadsheet, who's the most popular? Because I feel like that's what I was talking about with Revan, or sorry, Thrawn. I feel like that's why he is likely because I feel next to Revan and her, he's probably the most popular and the one that requested. And obviously they brought him back for Rebels. So you got lots of excitement for Rebels. So I just feel like those are the two. I guess the other one, but I think this one's even less likely, is someone like Mara Jade. But one, George Lucas has been on record says he's not a fan of that character, and two, I guess you just have to really repurpose her the same way Thrawn was, right? Where Thrawn's in a totally different era where he's in the books. You can't do Mara Jade and Luke love story unless they do some sort of animated series in between 6 and 7, which I do want. I've always said that I would love a Luke Skywalker Ben Solo show. I think that would be fantastic, but I don't know if we're gonna get that. But I would say Mara Jade, Revan, Thrawn, those are some of the most popular canon characters, I'd say.
Yeah, Mary Jade's got definitely a lot of excitement. A lot of people really like her character, and I like her character too. I think her journey in like Legends, coming from being like the Emperor's hand, and then
Mm-hmm.
going through this whole like form of development to her character, turning into a Jedi, is just crazy. And I think that yeah, with her and then Thrawn, definitely, I definitely want him, and I feel like I all I know is that they have an idea of what they want to do with Thrawn. I think that's Dave Filoni's
Mm-hmm.
words himself, but I think Timothy Zahn, like, he's pumping out a new trilogy for Thrawn that comes out I think it's this summer
Another
actually.
one?
So another one, yeah, it's basically him in like on his
Jesus.
home planet, like moving up through his like government and in his organization, which I'm so excited to read
Oh,
about.
a
So it's right, it's
prequel.
before, yeah, it's a prequel before the Clone Wars starts and everything. So I think that's super cool to see because it's gonna bring in a whole bunch of new perspective, and I think we need more stories pre Clone Wars. But I think that
So in a
the
live
third one you
action
said was
sense, for
Revan.
you, in a live action sense, what type of show would you see him popping up? If you don't see like an Ahsoka show and him not being tied to that, is there anything potential? Because I don't think you're gonna ever get Thrawn the TV show, but do you think he could pop up in something like when they were talking about that Crimson Dawn show? Is there possibility he could pop up as there? It's like, let's say you had Maul and Crimson Dawn, you have some main character, and you have Thrawn on the side who's kind of opposing Crimson Dawn, or maybe he's in task to shut them down. I don't know. Like, where could he pop up in a live action thing? That's my tough thing when you're talking about them doing these books now. Same things, like maybe you could do something where he is younger, but I don't know what the main character would be because I just don't think Thrawn will be the main character, right?
See, that's the hard thing, and I don't know where I would place him because in Legends, the Emperor dies, and a couple years later, Thrawn pops up and he starts rallying the remaining Empire Navy, and then forms this whole plan, and eventually tries to get clone factories activated again, and goes to war against the New Republic. So that has been out the window now because of the story that they chose to go with. So it's hard because he's not obviously a part of any Imperial groups or sectors or whatever now because he's in space somewhere and we don't know where.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt he would be welcomed back because by the time in Rebels that he goes up into space and by the end of the war in the Mandalorian, that's 7 to 8 years, give or take. So that's a long time. And the Empire's obviously crashed, so he wouldn't be able to just jump back in willy-nilly and get his rank back. It's hard. I feel like if they were to throw him in, it would be maybe he returned back to his people and he would pop up with a group of his people, the other Chiss members of his ascendancy, and he would come back and pop off or something like that, which would be super cool. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, no, I hope we do. I that's why I am excited for Ahsoka because I hope this kind of opens the doors for more characters debuting, whether it's him or Revan or anybody else. So anything else to say on the topic? I just want to talk about just because those rumors broke this week, and I wanted to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, I think that's everything I got. I don't know. I'm excited. I hope Ahsoka is definitely appearing in Mandalorian season 2. I hope that. We get all these other characters like Jamie Lee Curtis and all that. This is super exciting. The cast that they're popping off with. Just has me stoked.
So, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to talk about A Dangerous Dad, Episode 7. So I'll give you, let's see. Again, I'm not going to give you the plot synopsis because it's super spoilery. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, which I don't know why, it's on Disney+. But go check it out and then come back. So, Taylor, what did you think about this episode, Dangerous Dad, non-spoilers, and then we'll get into spoilers.
For me, I wasn't really, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it when it started off. I was hoping for a good episode, but when it started off, I was like, okay, well, I'm not sure how I'm feeling, but as it progressed further and further, I felt like, okay, this is super cool, I'm loving it. And even though it felt kind of like the episode was just a circle, kind of, I guess you could say. I felt like, okay, even though it was just a circle in the way the storyline progressed, I feel like a lot happened and there's a lot of development. And, after last episode where I was kind of complaining how I wasn't impressed with the two characters, the two sisters, I really liked them in this episode. And I feel like, okay, they brought me back into it again with their development and what they're doing. And there were moments where I thought it seemed like it'd be clumsy or whatever, but I buy it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was yeah, sure, why not? But I think that overall, the story and what happened and one particular character just blew my mind, and I'm so excited to see how this character is going to impact this storyline in the next episode.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that. Yeah, I quite liked this episode. I wasn't a fan of the ending, which again, just spoilers. I just kind of was hoping it would go another route and not kind of a you'll see in spoilers, not a they should I could have done this better. I wish they did this. No, it's just I felt that we could have covered a bit more ground this episode. And again, it's just my worry of because there's 12 episodes in this season, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we only got 5 more, and I just sometimes worry that we are we're not. Like, I've said this from the beginning. We're not. It reminds me a lot of Mandalorian, but I expect this with Clone Wars. So I just kind of expect this with Star Wars in general. They do really like to take their time, which I sometimes appreciate, but I just never appreciate when it's just like this is the final season. And that's one thing I could say, because one day once the show's over, we'll do a rankings of the entire show. I'm enjoying all the seasons. It has no bad episodes, but I think this for me so far is ranking in like mid tier of the shows. I just feel like we're not getting too much story. And yeah, we got some story. You're 100% right in some development with those sisters. But the thing is, those sisters, to my knowledge, we're probably never going to see again in canon. I'm not spoiling anything that happens to them. I just mean like, and if we do, it'd be something small. I don't think it's anything that greatly impacts it. I think it has a little inflection on Ahsoka's journey, so that's good. But I think it's just telling her more of what she already knew. So again, I like this episode. I've liked every episode this season, but I just kind of worry we only have so many left, and I just wanted a bit more story from these. And I really liked that Echo stuff, and I think it was great that they brought him back. But I think there was just a lot of adventure and action in this one, and this one feels a little bit of running on the same spot. There's some good moments. I like Ahsoka, so that's what makes it enjoyable. Like I said, still think they're good episodes. We're just not getting too much story that I'm really into. I don't mind, I guess, a season of adventures and whatnot, but I just think for the last season, I'm a little disappointed. I know they kind of said that, we were already working on some of these, and they maybe didn't plan it to be the last season, so... But they have changed. They did get some time, so I don't know. But I'm enjoying the season. I enjoy this episode, but I don't think it's anything amazing. But anything else before we get into spoilers?
Nope, that is it.
All right, here's the plot synopsis. Ahsoka, Trace, and Rafa attempt to escape the imprisonment of the Pike Syndicate. The Martez sisters reveal that their parents were killed accidentally by the Jedi as they are apprehended by Zero the Hutt. Ahsoka continues to hide her use of the Force, and 3 members of Death Watch catch sight of her. Ahsoka, Martez, and the Martez sisters end up recaptured by the Pikes. That's my biggest problem right there. It just... so there's a part where they go, and we're starting at the end, but whatever. They go through all this adventure. They're running, lots of, learning about each other. That stuff's all great. And then there's one point where they literally have a same shot where they get kind of pinned down. And last week when they got pinned down, they were in a ship. They're like, what do we do? And it like zoomed out from the ship solely, and then it does a da-da-da-da-da-da. And they literally did that again. I was thinking, because they did that, they were like stuck on a platform, or their ship got shot, and it started to zoom. I'm like, oh, better not end there. And then it cut to a different scene. I'm like, oh, good thing it didn't end there. But then it just ended immediately after that in the prison. So they like psyched me out of like, oh, good, they're not just doing it. It did feel like not the exact same ending, but very much so. Like all the stuff that we learned, to me, you could have learned in a prison cell. And again, I think it's the same thing as the last arc, where I like it, but I just feel you could have put again. And this is a Clone Wars trope for me, where you could have put some of these episodes and put them into one instead of two. I like all the action, but I also don't think any of the action is anything to write home about. The only way I give them a pass is there's certain like Clones episodes or certain episodes with Jedis where it's like, you know what, we were running on spot, but the action or like the lightsaber fight was so fucking good that I gotta go with it. I think there was some episode near the end of one of the seasons where Anakin Count Dooku had a great lightsaber fight, and it was one of those where the episode could have felt like treading on water, but because you got the standout action scene, that wasn't the case for me. Where this, I like all the action, but nothing to write home about. So, were you disappointed that it just kind of ended the exact same as last week, where they're running, and they get caught, and now we're back to square one next week?
No, like I feel like there was enough that actually got me like much more excited in this movie, in the sense like, I feel like with the Mandalorian storyline being incorporated, that got me really, really pumped, and I'm excited because I feel like this story arc, where the next 4 episodes are going to be a very close knit together story, combining, the Mandalorians, Ahsoka, and Anakin and Obi-Wan in the Outer Rim sieges, and we're going to get like an interesting story dynamic that brings Maul back into play. And I think, I think overall it's going to be very cool to see how things are going to unfold and what's going to change in this last story arc. But that being said, like this episode though, it's I thought I would have had a problem with it being a full circle, starting in the jail cell and ending in the jail cell, but again, I don't feel like it's that much of an issue the more like I analyze it and look at it. I do think that the characters, again, like I said, they came around for me, and I like their kind of development, and learning again about that scenario where the Jedi, and I'm assuming, and I'm taking a shot in the dark here, that it was Jedi Master Luminara that was talking to her.
I think so.
And obviously we know what episode they're referring to when Cad Bane was freeing Zero the Hutt and all that stuff. So it's just it makes like I understand like if if you're like your parents were just dead and then someone comes up and says like I had to make a choice but may the force be with you and then just left I'd be pretty choked like well
Yeah.
how's that gonna help me? I have like nothing I can go off of now. So it's it's unfortunate, but it goes to stem and show how like the Jedi shouldn't have been the one making that call. It should have been completely like military. Should have been completely like the government. The Jedi should have been completely unbiased and neutral and not even partake in that, but engage it in a different way because they just keep getting painted as bad guys. And I like it because this kind of falls back onto Ahsoka's journey where she tries to defend the Jedi, but she sees how hard it is to justify it especially after her events and her trial. And now in this case, when she sees the flaw in the Jedi on a huge like next level, and it's just horrible. So I like this kind of development that we're getting in these episodes.
Yeah, no, I like you threw a lot of things there. So I liked the Mandalorian incorporation because like you said, I think that's gonna really transition nicely into Maul, Obi-Wan, that whole because I feel like we've kind of talked about how Maul's gonna link back up to the story. So I like all that. I just wish that maybe that's how the episode ended was them getting involved. Then next week I'd be really excited where. I know next week they're gonna get involved, but I worry it could be like at the very end of the episode or near the end where we go on a bunch more escaping of jail missions, and then oh boom, the Mandalorians come and help them out or whatnot. So that was my kind of thing where it's like I just wanted to move forward. So I just hope that it does maybe start off that way, and I'll feel better about it. But I sometimes know how the show goes, and lots of times they just kind of draw things out. So I like the inclusion of it. I think that's a smart way. I'm just worried that it's gonna take a whole nother episode to get to them. But it was a nice tease. And yeah, I liked all that stuff with the Jedi talking about, well, the death of their parents, and they kind of not carelessly left them there, but didn't have time to pay attention to him. But that was my thing of saying that with Ahsoka, like she's already decided to leave the Jedi Council. This to me, or just the Jedi entirely, this to me felt like an episode where she was in the middle or right before she left, and this would have like really stamped down to be like, oh, I am leaving. I think it is more sort of establish that okay, these people don't like the Jedi, and what's gonna happen is they're gonna figure out Ahsoka's Jedi, and that's gonna cause maybe a little bit of rift, and she's gonna no, I'm not one, blah blah blah, and there's gonna be this whole big tension filled moment. So I hope that's more what it's leaning to because I don't think it's needed to do more of. They just kind of had a few shots of Ahsoka being like, wow, the Jedi did that to me, where it's just kind of like Ahsoka to me is already in the mindset of, oh yeah, no, the Jedi are kind of like pieces of crap sometimes, and that's why I left. So I did like that development. I did, I always love a shout at Cad Bane. There's another person, we're talking about people in live action. Like I wanted live action Cad Bane. Just give me him somewhere. We have no idea what's happened to him in canon. Like I just want him. So I did like the story. I like their motivation, everything like that, and I do like the seats they're sitting when Ahsoka does the Force jump, and the older sister's like, "How did you do that?" And so obviously they're gonna catch on. So yeah, I liked the inclusion of Mandalorians, and I liked the Zero the Hutt story as well. Shout outs to the fallen Zero the Hutt.
Yeah, I guess got the other thing I'd want to point out. This is kind of getting like into like the deep part. So was there anything that stood out to you from the Mandalorians?
Their armor looked different to me. They looked a bit more. I'm trying to think of the way. I don't want to say high tech because that's not the right word, but like a bit more like cleaner in a way, just a bit more sleeker the armor. So that's the only thing that stood me, and just the fact that they were hood and everything. But they had a different look, in my opinion.
Did you notice anything about their voices?
No, I was trying to, but that's the thing where it's like I know you know those a lot more than me. So as I was listening to it, I was like, oh, I bet you picked up on some. I thought one may sound like I can't remember. Katie Sackhoff does that voice for one of them, but I can't remember. No, she's still alive. Is it Sabine or Satine? No, Bo-Katan.
Well,
She does. Sorry, she
Bo-Katan,
does Bo-Katan.
yeah.
She does Bo-Katan. So I
Yeah.
was trying to figure out if it was that. Am I right on that case?
My definite like guarantee is like, okay, yeah, that's probably Bo-Katan in the middle. But there were three of them, right, standing on the roof. Now here's the cool thing, and I listened to it again and again and again, and I compared it. The Mandalorian on the left that talks has the exact same voice as the armor from the Mandalorian TV show.
But which one?
The armor. So played by what's her name? Emily Swallow from The Mandalorian. So her voice was the same Mandalorian's voice on the left of Bo-Katan, and they're wearing hoods. So I feel like they're doing that so we can't properly see, okay, what does the top of the helmet look like? But I'm pretty sure that's the armor that we're getting in the Clone Wars right now, because her voice sounds identical, and you can even look it up online. People are talking about it. I'm just absolutely stoked if that's like a crossover bridge there, because I feel like then we would get a perfect tie-in over to if Ahsoka has a relationship with her, then I feel like, okay, this makes sense in season 2 for the Mandalorian to form a relationship with Ahsoka or brush into her, because Ahsoka's got this connection with the Mandalorians and the armorer now. So I feel like this sets up some really cool future storylines in the Mandalorian TV show season 2.
Yeah, if that's the case, I'll have to go back and listen to it. And I trust you. If that's the case, that would be fantastic. That would be the whole we've talked about before about canon not matter. That would actually be making it matter. And that's why at the end of the day, I didn't love that episode that Favreau directed for The Mandalorian. And there's a lot of Clone Wars, Star Wars stuff of him that I don't like. But the thing I do like is, and I think what Favreau kind of brings to it too, because obviously he started the MCU, is that idea of connecting. I think that's a good thing with this season. It is still like a closing the Clone Wars, but it doesn't have to be like a big set to Mandalorian. Just like nice little sprinkles here and there. If that is her character, that's a perfect way to sprinkle her in, set that up. So it's just like, one, the hardcores get something out of it for watching all and they feel connection. And then two, mainstream people, it's not going to hurt them. That's the biggest thing where I've always said with Solo, they took the wrong approach of like, and know what we're going to do for our MCU like style thing? What? We're going to bring back Darth Maul. And it's like everybody who doesn't know shit at all about the animated show or whatnot, we're like, what's going on? That's why you got to start with baby steps and connecting universes where you got to do it where only hardcores or just big pop like fans like myself, because I consider myself a hardcore fan as far as loving Star Wars, but not a hardcore fan as far as knowledge, stuff that I would pick up or hear from someone like you. But it doesn't affect anybody watching Mandalorian, right? They're not going to be like, oh man, like she was in Clone Wars the final season. So I think, and that's how you start, and then you start to build up the steps the same way as Nick Fury. Like he's in Iron Man, but if you don't watch the end credit, it doesn't affect the movie at all, right? Iron Man is just still the Iron Man movie. It doesn't matter if you saw the end credit scene or not, and that's the same way about this. So if that's true, yeah, that does get me excited. And like you said, that because that opens up a whole bunch of backstory. That opens up, like you said, potential just linking to Ahsoka and Rex. So that is that's great. I didn't know that because I had a feel about Bo-Katan just because like I kind of know Kay Sackow's voice. I always forget the name because they're so fucking Sabine, like it's just Mandalorians all over the place. But that would be I of course would be down. That would be great if that happened. So I got my fingers crossed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me, like the biggest thing with Star Wars is just when they connect these worlds together, and when you look at again, like the second episode, or last episode when we went to Kessel and we had them like leaving the planet. There are so many different like tie-ins and connections to the universe that just get me so excited. And that to me, I always felt like Star Wars should incorporate a heavy amount of that. And if I had one con with the new trilogy, it's that I feel like it has somewhat a little bit of a lack of connection to like the whole universe in that sense.
Just the OG trilogy pretty much.
Yeah. So it's just like those things are what I strive for in Star Wars, and the Clone Wars has always fed that. And then there's some episodes that go above and beyond. And so if this, I'm there's always again, like you say, there's that 1% chance. So I'm gonna say like the 99.9% sure that is the armorer in the Clone Wars from the Mandalorian TV show, because the voice is absolutely identical. That's the kind of thing I would love to see, that crossover, and I think it's a huge foreshadow into them doing Ahsoka, live action. And I think again, it's just the timing of everything too, with this rumor with Ahsoka and them having this kind of little thing drop in the Clone Wars episode. I feel like it's all just connected,
One, I like that you alluded to a phrase I said the other day. One, not on the podcast, and two, about a completely different situation of like PlayStation releasing Last of Us on PS5 instead of PS4, and Dylan said 0% chance, and I said I never give anything a 0% chance because you never know. So I like that you refer to this inside conversation about the gaming consoles on this. So that's funny. I said, and I think I ask this question like every 6 months. So if Ahsoka is going to be let's say it's just true. Let's just say there's no rumors. Ahsoka's live action, and like you said, the timing does completely make sense. This little Easter egg. because lots of people assume that the next anime show could have something to do with her or her story. I ask this all the time, but it's just because situation's changing. If Ahsoka's in live action and her story's being continued there, I don't think we get much more of her in animation. So what the hell is this next animated show going to be coming up?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, there were rumors about Dr. Aphra, wasn't there?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that could be it. Like, I'd love to for them if they're gonna focus on something like in the time of the Galactic Civil War, then it should just be a wild, crazy story, just kind of focusing on something we never would expect, not Jedi related or Rebel related, but yeah, do Dr. Aphra or something like that, or just something kooky and crazy. But other than that, I feel like if they're gonna do an animated series, it would probably be. I don't think they're going to do anything Clone Wars related around that era. I don't think they're going to do any more Civil War stuff. I know that there's talks about the next series being the sequel to Rebels, so that second season, which would then in turn take place years after Return of the Jedi, which I'd be very okay with.
I guess it's
so
just...
I feel like whatever... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, though, because I always felt when they said that, I was like, okay, that makes sense because Ahsoka's still bopping around. I know Ezra might be, but like I said, I feel like if Ahsoka's live action, she's kind of upgraded to live action being a bigger deal. So the thing is, like, if you do a sequel to Rebels, who's the main character of that?
I think that they play with their storylines around so much. I think that we could see Ahsoka and Thrawn all pop off in like as a Rebels sequel show, but then we're gonna get more Ahsoka and like a new journey of hers in live action kind of a thing. Because I think they're playing around with all these storylines like crazy, and it just, to me, it makes sense that the next animated show will be after Return of the Jedi, probably after The Mandalorian. I don't want to say after Force Awakens. It's a bit of a stretch, but I'd like it to be. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I don't think you'll get after. I think you get a little before, but even then, I think the time they be playing with, just because, fuck Disney, they won't give me what I want. I think they'll be playing with the end of Return of the Jedi until Ben Solo is born.
Yeah. Well,
they don't want to touch Ben Solo. Unless Ben Solo's like 1 or 2, that's fine. But they don't want Ben Solo like starting to train to become a Jedi, because I don't know. I just feel like they just don't want to touch that yet, or they might do it in comic books, and that's just because like everybody, just even when that comic, which we never talked about, when it ended, it had like a photo of like Ben Solo like looking like when he was like training with Luke, and everyone's like, look at this fucking badass. Like everybody wants it. It just feels like it's gonna be the new Obi-Wan, where we're gonna have to wait years and years, and even then, we're not gonna get a young Ben Solo with Driver, because I just think he'll be too old at that point. But like I said, I think an animated show would be great, because you don't even have to get that big. And the same way the Clone Wars starts to allude to Revenge of the Sith, you could have Snoke like alluding to there is a Palpatine out there, but I think they're not ready to do that yet.
Yeah, most likely. I keep forgetting that The Resistance is a show that takes place after Force Awakens and past Last Jedi. I have to get caught up on the final season of that. Actually,
I didn't know when past Last Jedi. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it meets up with it during the movie. Well, it doesn't like connect with the people in the movie, but it meets up with that in the timeline, and then it goes a little bit past it. But yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know what else they would do for the show. Rebels 2 is like all I got.
Yeah. No, I'm interested. Like I said, I have my wants out there. There's always a chance there's something High Republic, right? Because we're going to talk about the one day in the cast we still never have, but they are doing the books and everything like that. So you never know. They might do a series to tie it in before they do a movie. I know the rumors are a movie, but maybe they'll dip their toes in first with a High Republic with a bunch of new characters and whatnot, which I honestly wouldn't be opposed to. I want something that's some character that I do really love, or I'd like if they did just go, we're going High Republic, and there's a bunch of new people, and here we are. So I would like that as well.
I agree. I'd really like, just dive into a new era, High Republic for sure. I got my, which High Republic novel is it? It's like the main one, I think.
Yeah,
I have
the first
the hardcover on pre-order. Yeah, the first one.
When does that come out again? Because I'm definitely I definitely want to review that, especially in these hard times with no content. I definitely want to get the audiobook, and I want to review that with you.
Yeah, Light of the Jedi. I think it comes out August 25th.
Okay, so we still got a ways. So
Still a ways to go, yeah. So I got that pre-ordered, and I'm excited. Maybe we'll have to do a review of that and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think we will, especially where I work. I can listen to audiobooks. So I will back this episode. We went on a little tangent there, but I will give this a thumb and a half. Like I said, a thumb I always kind of give to just like, oh yeah, it was fun. I think the action was really good. A thumb and a half is like to me is like above average, a pretty good episode. Nothing big story wise to get it to a 2 for me. And like I said, for me, it might be better next week, but I just worry that we might do this again where it's a lot more escaping. Clone Wars does that where it likes to repeat and kind of drawing stuff up. But I like the story stuff. Ahsoka continues to be better. I still don't like what they did to the sister last week of making her make that dumb choice with the spice. But I like the sisters in general as characters. I like that we're seeing the harder character maybe, show some emotions actually. So I think that she might turn on Ahsoka, but not because she's going to be a criminal, just because Ahsoka was lying to her about being a Jedi or using the Force. So a 1.5 from me.
Yeah, I would probably give this. Maybe. I'd probably give it a thumb and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. Seems about right.
Yeah.
Okay. What was I gonna say? Taylor, where can they find us?
They can find us with the internet connection in the search bar, ladies and gentlemen. Geekverse Space Podcast. You find us Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. Make sure you check out our Facebook because we have the Clone Wars poll, ladies and gentlemen, that is popping off. And tonight, actually, at 6 p.m. is when it all changes. And tonight, it's going to be Admiral Trench versus Pre Vizsla. So we get some Mandalorian action in there. Definitely check that out. Also, check out, I did drop a new Rod or Not, so that's very exciting. So it's good. It's like double the amount of usual content for 45 minutes. Have you watched it, Travis?
I've watched the first 15 minutes, and it is wild because I'm not going to reveal what the type of twist is, but I'm waiting for some stuff to happen. But I watched the first 15 minutes. I love it. I missed that show. I wish Ruben still lived here so it could happen. But no, everyone, I would say go watch if you haven't watched it, and then go back and watch the other ones. It's some high quality entertainment Taylor and Ruben put out, and hopefully one day it'll happen again. I think it'll be a long time from them, but. Yeah, I am looking very forward to finishing it.
Yeah, it's always like a year between episodes at this point. So, just because, we filmed this episode a long time ago and Ruben just did not edit it.
Yeah, that's what happens when you got someone that's just like a kind of on like associated with the podcast. They're not as concerned with pumping out the content. It's just like a fun thing for them. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much for tuning in. This next week we'll be back with the episode is called Together Again, which I imagine you think that's going to be Ahsoka and Anakin possibly.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's either Ahsoka and Anakin or it's Ahsoka and the Mandalorians, but I think it's Ahsoka and Anakin for sure. I part of me is thinking that this is actually going to be an 8-episode arc and not a. Well, I don't know. Like, all in all, like I feel like the first 4 episodes were obviously like more or less just focused on the Bad Batch and everything, but I feel like this entire season is just one conjoined story arc and progression.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So hopefully one day, just like this title. Ben Solo and Rey Skywalker will be together again. But until then, may the Force be with you.
Always.